Hello, everyone. People, children of all ages, teens, adults alike. Welcome to the second episode of the reincarnation of the Good versus Evil podcast. I'm Kyle Miller, here with my co-host Andrew Rigby, and we are here to discuss all the breaking news and things that are happening in the world of football and the great beyond. But most of all, people, I want answers from this man to my right. What is going on with the Scousers in red?
Oh, it's a good question. We touched on this a little bit last week. I was trying to show some optimism, if you like. It just isn't any. There just isn't any. One thing off the bat is I don't think yesterday was our worst performance of the season. Nowhere near it. We put a bit more of a fight to Brighton. But there are just so many problems at the moment. It's unreal. The players just look so dejected. I mean, Andy Robertson basically just came out and said the whole team are just absolutely shocking at the minute. Yesterday. And it's a tough one. Liverpool should not be sitting ninth in the league. So far off the top four. Struggling to beat anybody at the moment. I mean, Mo Salah for me is the biggest alarming factor at the moment because he just can't get anything right at the moment. He's missing chance after chance. Of course, he's still working hard, but Liverpool, I don't think you can ever. There's only a few occasions where you can say Liverpool have not worked hard enough in a game, so that'll always be there and whatnot. And we can talk about the front three is evolving. As Liverpool fans, we were blessed with one of the greatest front threes you'll ever see, with obviously the Mane, Firmino and Salah for the years that we did have them, and then obviously Mane goes. Firmino is not in the squad as often as he used to be just because of injuries and whatnot. So you've just got Salah left there, and you're trying to plug the gaps with Gakpo, who's only been at the club for 2 or 3 weeks. It seems to be getting a lot of flack off Liverpool fans because they're looking for a miracle, which is not going to happen. He's a young player, adapting to a brand new country, to a brand new league, and has been expected to throw him in and just start performing straight away, which is ridiculous. Darwin Núñez, who's just never looked settled this season at all, although didn't start yesterday. I'm getting a bit sick and tired of having to defend him against rival fans because, we're desperate as Liverpool fans to see him perform. We're absolutely desperate. We spent a lot of money on him, but we like the fella a lot. I mean, if you watched the game yesterday, there was a point where we were closing down Brighton in their own half, and Darwin Núñez, he gets him and he goes out for a goal kick, but the fans, you can see they appreciate the work rate and whatnot. But Liverpool need end product. And unfortunately, Darwin Núñez is not bringing us any end product at the moment. Albeit he didn't get a goal-scoring chance yesterday. But every time he get the ball, he gave the ball away every time. Or maybe mostly. So that's a shame. You've got Harvey Elliott, who is getting a couple of goals, but he's still such a young player.
He's still so green.
He is. He's not a left wing. He's either in the midfield or he should be on the right. He does not suit the left-hand side. Although he's still contributing very well, and I like Harvey Elliott a lot. I'm one of his biggest fans. I think I was really excited when we signed him originally from Fulham. I was lucky enough to be, when I was at university, managed to get involved in a media day at Wolves for the last game of the season. Who was it against? It was against Fulham, and Harvey Elliott started. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew he was going to be a Liverpool player at the time. I certainly didn't. But I like the young kid, and then obviously we signed him straight away, and he could be a big player for it, but we've got to be careful we don't ruin him, and whatnot. So, that's a front three already that is so unsettled at the moment. Of Luis Diaz, if he was fit, is Liverpool's number one left winger. We are missing him horrendously badly. I mean, in my opinion, Liverpool would not be where they are if we had Luis Diaz, because he has just got that ability just to get us a goal, an equaliser, drag us to get something out of a game and whatnot. And that is a huge miss. And we're hoping we were going to get him back just after Christmas time, and then he got that injury again. Injuries is just it's just one of my. I hate the word injury so much. We all suffer from them. Every club do. I mean, your club Chelsea, full-back positions have been a nightmare and whatnot. But every time Liverpool seem to get a big player back, we lose one or two in other positions. So
yeah.
But you can only use that for so long. Liverpool's position just isn't good enough. Really, it just isn't good enough at all. And the midfield, I mean, young Pacetic, best player on the pitch, shouldn't be at his age the best player on the pitch when you've got Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, all fit. Keita, who is just... I'm sorry, I'm so done with Naby Keita. The Liverpool fans that are still trying to fight for him and show that he has a place in the squad. He just isn't for me. He just doesn't offer it for me. I feel like every time he's on the pitch, we are carrying a position that we can't afford to be carrying. He just does not work hard enough in the defensive elements. In the attack, he's so indecisive.
I think he's one of those players, and there's many of them. We've had a couple of players coming from the Bundesliga and just haven't settled to. They haven't adapted to the league and the differences.
He's never adapted. He
never has. We've been saying this since this podcast started about the midfield, and then I'd bring up Naby Keita, and you would say at the time, it's too early to tell. He just came, but now we are a year and a half, a couple of years after that point, that discussion, and now we're at the point where if he hasn't adapted now, he never will.
The thing. I never ever want to see a player who plays for Liverpool Football Club get ridiculed and basically pushed out of a club. I don't ever want to have to do that. But for me, I'm fed up of the sympathy because he's gonna come good. He's just not good enough. And Liverpool, and this is the problem when I talk about Chelsea and City. We can spend the money sometimes like Chelsea and City can do. The problem is, and I've mentioned it so many times on different pods and whatnot, and I feel like I'm a broken record, but it is the truth, that Liverpool can't afford to spend that amount of money and then for it to go wrong, because we cannot go out like a Chelsea or City and the next summer go and spend the same number of money on that position again and go again. It has to work. It has to work. Liverpool will not have that money again for another couple of transfer windows, because that's what FSG are. They haven't got... They do have the money. They just refuse to spend it because they've got this sort of a business model which has worked for them very, very well. But, if it doesn't go well, then it's a big, big problem. Liverpool were never going to get them £50-60 million, whatever it was, that we bought Naby Keita for originally. And he's on such high wages as well. Nobody's going to come in for him. He doesn't show any promise. The only hope we've got is if a Leipzig comes back in for him and has him back, but I don't think he ever will.
And they do like to buy back their players, so
they do. But if I'm not this. Liverpool fans are not all on Naby Keita. I'm just saying that's another factor. I thought the two centre backs yesterday was actually pretty good. Ibu Kanate, Joe Gomez, I liked it. I thought the balance was very, very good. They helped each other out. They've got good pace, a good aggression. They were always.
They're both also kind of similar. They both kind of gel together because
they did gel together. They got each other out of so many jams and whatnot. Albeit, I think the Brighton fans were a bit aggrieved that Kanate didn't get sent off for a goal scoring opportunity, which was just outside the box. But it is what it is.
Ref's decision.
Trent Alexander-Arnold cannot play right back anymore. He cannot play right back. It's just so obvious now. But we just do not have another player that can play there, because if Virgil van Dijk or Joe Matip were firing and fit to start with, Joe Gomez would be playing right back and Trent wouldn't be playing there at the minute.
Where if he doesn't play right back, then where does he play though?
At the moment, that's not a concern for me. For me, that's not a concern about where Trent Alexander plays in this Liverpool squad. The problem for me is that he can't play right back, and we have got to resolve that.
Yeah.
He is world class, and we've said before he could maybe go into midfield. But my immediate concern is not where Trent plays in the squad. My concern is we need a right back who can play there. And I think Joe Gomez can play there at times. Milner can, but he can't get him on the pitch as often because of his age and whatnot. Calvin Ramsey from Aberdeen that we signed in the summer for a couple mil. He's too young to be put into that position yet. So unfortunately we are stuck playing Trent in there.
But would it be a big of an issue if you just went, right, clearly the team are playing horrible right now anyway. Would it be so bad to chuck in a guy like Ramsey in that position and see if he would sink or swim and see what would happen? Would it hurt to play him in maybe 1 or 2 games?
It's not fair to put Calvin Ramsey in this situation.
I know, but see you look at Chelsea recently because of all of our injuries. We've had to chuck in Chukwuemeka, who I'd say he swam lengths since he's been put into the side. Well, we signed him for 16 mil from Aston Villa, but like he's come in and he done well against City, done well against all these other games that he's played. So like,
I hear what you're saying, I do, and he probably would say I want to play, but I don't think he'll have the fitness yet to start an intense Premier League a couple matches in a row at the moment. I don't think it would be fair because any player that gets thrown into the Liverpool squad more than likely is going to sink because the whole 11 is just demoralised. They don't know how to play with each other. They don't know what will work, and they're under pressure because they know they've got to turn it around. And I don't think the players know how to turn it around. And Klopp, to be fair to him, has started to stop. I think they mentioned it in columns yesterday, and they are correct that Trent and Robertson are not getting up the pitch as often as they were because we have to be more compact, and he's used that word a lot. Ironically, yesterday I don't think we're very compact at all.
Because you also need to defend more, and if they're constantly up, it's leaving you more exposed.
But what it's doing is, and we've always had this fear when people keep saying you got to stop telling Trent to keep going forward and whatnot, is that we lose so much attacking emphasis. Because our game was getting the fullbacks very high up the pitch, getting good crosses in and whatnot, and you see it now, it rarely happens. And it's a shame because Cody Gakpo in that middle, you're just begging for a cross to be put in, or Darwin Núñez for a cross to be put in. But we can't get him up the pitch high enough because we're so scared of getting exposed at the other end. But guess what? We do still get exposed at the other end.
Yeah. Are you sometimes sitting during a game just begging for them to just take a risk?
For me, what scares me is I actually don't know what we do.
That's also scary because I've never heard you say that ever.
I am at a point now where I just do not know how we fix our season. Because there are just so many glaring issues. And they are personnel issues. And then you hear the club say yesterday, we're not making any signings. I cannot believe we are not bringing in a midfielder this window. I know we want Jude Bellingham, right? But we had to bring somebody in this window. Even just to get that morale boost, we need to bring somebody in. For me, it was more important to bring in a midfielder than bring Cody Gakpo in.
Yes.
Albeit you look at how light our attacking options would be without Gakpo. And I am still happy we got him. If it was between getting Gakpo and a midfielder, for me it has to be a midfielder. Because at least then you become difficult to beat. You get a bit more energy in the squad. And guess what? You can probably grind your way to a few results, getting a few goals and whatnot. But we didn't do it, and we're stuck with what we've got now. And I am frightened about where Liverpool could finish the end of the season in the league at the moment. We've got 2 teams next that you want. We've got Wolves, which who will want revenge, of course.
You sort of a record against them, to be fair.
And whatnot, but we have beaten them recently, so there'll be a little bit of a morale in terms of, okay, this is a team we actually have beaten recently. And then you've got Everton, who are probably just in a much worse situation than us, of course. I mean, we'll talk about the Anthony Gordon situation a bit later on in the pod and whatnot, but they're bringing in Sean Dyche. You would expect with that Anthony Gordon money, they are going to make some signings in the next day or deadline day tomorrow.
Oh, they have to.
So you would expect a reaction then from them when they play us at Anfield. So, I say that they are the perfect games to play next. I don't think there is any perfect games. If anything, I wish we had an international break coming up now.
Another World Cup?
Because the players just, they need a reset. They just need a reset. But they've got themselves into such a bad position that we now have to basically win or draw every other game for the rest of the season to just get top 4. So for me, top 4's gone. It's just gone. We just can't get a run of results going at all, and it is depressing. And do you know what? I was shouting and bawling as I normally do during Liverpool games. They'll be mates of mine. They'll be listening to this and they'll agree and whatnot. See when Brian got their winner. I was just silent. I was just drained because you could just see it was going to happen. I mean, Fabinho should be sent off. I mean, Fabinho. I talk about Keita's drop off. I've got to mention Fabinho as well. It is. He's more threatening than Salah. How much he's dropped off. I mean, he is a championship level player at the moment. That genuinely. Every time he comes on the pitch, he makes us worse. He is so off it. He makes such rash decisions, and he gives the ball away all the time. And you can see that the players do not get a lift when Fabinho's on the pitch. If anything, it makes them go, oh, shucks.
And he should be one of their leaders.
He should be, yes. And I don't know what's happened. I don't know. But he is so off at the moment. Like so many are. But he in particular, for me, is a very alarming one. When an 18-year-old Pacetic, it looks... You keep him on for 85 minutes and only give Fabinho 5 minutes because that's how terrified Klopp is of bringing Fabinho on. And then what does he do? He should be sent off for that challenge. Everyone will know the one I'm talking about. I can't remember the Brighton player's name now. But, he kind of slips into it, but it's a terrible challenge. How VAR didn't send him off, I do not know. I think because he was so apologetic straight away, that probably helped him. But I agree with the Brighton fans that, how it was a red card, I do not know. And if I'm honest with you, the Redmen TV brought this up yesterday. I think it would have been great for Fabinho because it would have given him 3 games out of the squad, don't come to the matches, and just take time off, come back and find yourself again. I think it would actually have been the best thing for him, ironically. But yeah, it's depressing. I'm not sure what even United got this bad last couple of years when we were all laughing at them. I'm not sure things got this bad for United, but yeah, it's tough. And then you see the amount of money that Chelsea is spending, Newcastle are spending. Liverpool are getting left behind here, folks. We're getting left behind. And you can talk about Jude Bellingham in the summer and all that. Liverpool need another 6 or 7 players after that.
Because two things. One being, you never know how bad it is until it's you and your fan base that's going through the decline. And also, if you were to sign Jude Bellingham, at this rate and the way your owners are operating, that's the only signing you'd make based on the transfer fee.
Exactly.
Which then, that's not going to do any favours because it's not as if Jude Bellingham's carrying Dortmund to a Bundesliga himself. So he's not going to carry Liverpool to a top 4 or a Champions League run or a league reset. One marquee player. I'd rather 5 class players than one marquee player.
Liverpool need a new midfield.
Oh yes.
We don't need a midfielder. We need a new midfield.
I've been saying this for years, and as much as I don't want it because I only care about my team, it's very evident as a football fan that is one of the parts that lacks.
It pains me to talk about Liverpool squad the way I'm talking about them just now because they've brought us so much joy. I mean, last season, Liverpool almost done something that nobody's ever done with the quadruple. I mean, we were so blessed, and those players gave us everything they had left to try and get it to work. And unfortunately, we fell short at Paris, fell a point short again of the league. But then you deliver 2 English Cups, which we haven't had a lot of luck in the EFL, the League Cup or the FA Cup in recent years. So we won them both in one season. It was fantastic.
Oh yes, I was aware.
And there is for the senior players, there is a thing of that for me. They have not recovered from that because they had to put in the shift of a lifetime, but you can't then. But the one thing that worries me is you can't even then go and say that the World Cup has been a problem for Liverpool because not many of the first 11 started many games or played many games. So then that should have allowed them to reset themselves, and it just hasn't. And yeah, it's depressing. It's depressing. I don't have a lot of good things to say about Liverpool right now. I don't know how we turn it around. It's up to Jurgen Klopp to do that. I've got every faith he can turn it around because he's done it before. But I guess the big question is how bad can you let it get? Because this is just not good enough.
It'll only keep getting worse if nothing's actually fixing. Because even though the smaller teams are ahead of both of us, but the difference is with them is obviously Chelsea are buying players now, but these other small teams were gradually progressing, getting younger players, getting more ambitious players in. Well, Chelsea declined with an aging squad, a mix with young players that just weren't up to snuff, and obviously use with your injuries and not bringing in players also when players were getting
But
injured.
what you guys are doing though, and as much as I hate how much you're spending money, one thing I will say,
We're doing what needs to be done.
You are building the future.
Well, yes.
Because you are going with Graham Potter. Because everyone keeps saying, right, oh, Potter's going to get a sack or whatnot. And Chelsea board.
It's not happening.
No. Tell you what, this is who he wants for the next 4 or 5 years. We're going to give him it.
Yes.
And we're going to go on the journey. And Liverpool need to do that in the summer. And that's why I'm starting to not believe that we're going to get Jude Bellingham, because Liverpool needs so much more than that. We need to spend so much money. Now, if we can get rid of Fabinho for 40, 50 mil, get Keita for 20, 30 mil, that would be fantastic. I made actually a very controversial opinion and said that if we could get 670 for Virgil van Dijk in the summer, I'd take it. I would take it, because I think Kanate and Joe Gomez could be the future. And if you can bring in, another 21-year-old to sit in behind them to develop, I don't think that's the worst idea in the world either, because I don't think Virgil van Dijk's really been at it either to be honest, and this break actually, this injury is actually probably helping him. And that's very controversial. I love Virgil van Dijk and I don't want him to go, but needs must, unfortunately. Liverpool's business model is we have to sell to buy.
Yeah, and there's not, there's the reason why you say Van Dijk is because there's what other players is there that's going to go for a massive transfer fee that you're willing to depart with,
Exactly.
because obviously you're saying Van Dijk because you've got other centre backs that can replace him already in the team. But if you were to say, oh, we need to get a transfer fee for someone like Salah, if you lost Salah, then it would be anarchy. There'd be fires all over the city of Liverpool.
I'm not sure there would be anymore.
Maybe not now, but if you were to lose him, it would be really bad. And
I think Liverpool fans are at a point now where they realise that we're going to have to make some tough decisions in the summer. Very tough decisions with the squad. There's going to be some big names that might have to move on now, and we might have to take a gamble with bringing a younger player or whatnot. But if you ask any Liverpool fan what Liverpool's problem is, it's energy. It's energy. So maybe it's his time to get rid of some of these bigger names, albeit it'll hurt at the time. And maybe we need to spend a year or two finding ourselves again, and then once the new signings have adapted to the Prem and whatnot, then you can go again after that. Because you have to refresh the squads. You have to. And Liverpool haven't done it. Liverpool have been on this 5 or 6 year journey with the squad, won amazing things, but have been caught up so much in the journey and the loyalty to the players that they've stopped replacing those players. And that's our biggest issue at the moment. So I'd be very interested, other Liverpool fans, to get your opinions on everything I said. I'm not afraid if anyone comes and says, no, you're talking absolute garbage, I've got a different opinion. Do always say it, because it'll be very interesting to see if my views are the same as everybody else, a Liverpool fan. And of course outside as well, give us your opinions. Try not to be too brutal in the comments.
Yes,
well,
please don't.
But I'll take it. You take the flack, don't you? You take the flack as it comes.
Because the thing at least what we're doing is we are presenting something, building the future. We're presenting something to these players, and they've all said exactly the same thing. I like the project. Now, some people, some haters will say, oh, they just like the dollar signs, but these players are not just. We're not the only team that's coming in for the players that we're signing. These players are young players who other clubs are monitoring. Players like Gusto, who we just signed from Lyon, who Newcastle tried to pinch as well. Obviously, if it was all about dollar signs, I think Newcastle would have the resources to outbid us or even match us, and because we're quite ruthless right now in the transfer market. I think if anyone wants to match us, I think we can match them back. But right now, because a couple of weeks ago I was kind of sitting there and I was kind of feeling the way you're feeling. I was like, what is going on with this team? What is going on? I don't see a way out of this.
Let me ask you a question. What Liverpool player would you take right now for Chelsea? And I'll take the goalkeeper out of it because I think any team in football would still want Alisson Becker. So let's take him out of the equation right now. Because you guys are in a similar boat to us. Is there realistically, though, any player that you think, where they play at the moment, I would want him?
Not playing at the moment. But if it was last year, I would have said Jota. But if it was right now, I don't see anyone in that team that could fix my team right now.
And isn't that alarming how we are
Yes.
very similar at the table?
Yes.
And that's how you feel?
I paused with realism because I had to try and think there. And usually, if it was last year, I would have about 4 or 5 picks of who I would want from your team.
You mentioned Jota there. I've got to say that's a loss and a half. That's killed us this season as well, Jota.
Yeah, and last year he was scoring every game.
He was.
And that's, again, if it was last year, I would have went straight away Jota, because as soon as he came in from Wolves, everyone was going, we've just robbed them. We've took all this money from them. And then he was just going boom, 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 boom. And the price tag was already paid for in these first 5, 6, 7 games because of how important he was and consistent he was. And now, injuries. I also think that both our teams really need to question our medical staff. Because how is there so many injuries all the time? Why? Why is it?
To be fair, Brighton's medical staff would have been busy today because Liverpool were leaving some horrible challenges on their players yesterday.
Not just their medical staff, but their scouting network is just on point right now. Maybe, if you don't want to spend the money, maybe you just get their scout, because he's getting good deals, by the way. He's getting... How much did their wonder kid, who has a degree...
You talking about the Japanese kid?
Yeah, the guy that says that he studies football and he's a professor full time.
The one that got the winner, yeah.
Yeah, he's some player. I don't know how much he costs, but he didn't cost 30-40 mil. He cost probably about 10, 11, maybe less.
Brighton.
But Brighton are doing really well with their scouting.
Brighton Hove Albion are what every club who don't have money in this country want to be able to do. Is buy cheap, develop,
the Seagulls,
upset the big boys, and get into Europe. That's what that's what your Evertons, your Wolves, your Southampton. That is what they aspire to be able to do and whatnot. And a load of other clubs that I've not mentioned there and whatnot.
But see that other supposed big teams that want to do this, they've got too big of an ego to put themselves down where Brighton are and go, right, we know where we stand. We sign this level of players, and then we go and develop them.
Look at Cucurella. You guys signed, right? I don't know about you, but I think it was an unbelievable price tag for that player.
Yes.
They've got a Stupian at left back now.
The only reason
who actually looks better than Cucurella did when he was at Brighton.
We only, in my theory is we only paid that because City were willing to pay 10 million less, and then we went and paid 12 million more than what City wanted to pay, so then we got him. But then I feel he's okay. He's okay, but he
doesn't get a game on bench or Wells fit.
No, of course not. But he's not. I don't see paying 60 mil for a clear backup, because Chilwell's better than him. So paying 60 mil for a clear backup is lunacy, because at least Gusto only costs about 30 mil. And obviously, if James is fit, Gusto may be one of the next rising right backs in the world. He's not taking James out of that team. There's just no chance in any hell that exists. James right now. James fit is the best right back in the world when he's fit. When he's fully 100% fit, he is the best player in Chelsea's team. He's the most important player in Chelsea's team. The full backs, wing backs, him and Chilwell, when they're not there, when they're not out in the team, we are so much worse. It's crazy how bad we are without them two in the starting 11. It's crazy. When they're both there, it's as if the whole team just somehow plays with more confidence and they feel more free to express themselves because they have those two there beside them at each side. And that's how important he is. And for us to get a guy, Gusto from Lyon, And you know he must be the real deal because Leon were literally saying, we don't want extra money from you to take him to have him leave now. We are keeping him to the end of the season, and that's that. And so we had to bite the bullet and let him stay at Leon to the end of the season, which fair play. But we do need a right back now because we can't guarantee James will be fit for the whole rest of the season. But we had to bite the bullet, and we're spending the money. We're chasing Enzo again. Right now it's touch and go. We're still trying to penny pinch like 15 mil instead of paying the whole release cost. But I think Benfica will break. I think we'll get him. And yes, I look forward to it. Please, because this is the big signing. This is what we're missing. We're missing a playmaker. We're missing someone that can do a bit of everything. And we lack goals. And he can help deliver the goals. So please, Bolly and other members of the board, get it done. I know I'm acting spoiled right now because we have spent a lot of money already, but this is the last piece of the puzzle, I feel, until whenever we decide to build another puzzle.
Do you know what this feels like? You know, in Monopoly, when someone next to you has got hotels on 2 properties, and then there's this little
Park Lane.
There's this other person that's just got a couple of houses on the Browns, and it's just sort of
I have all
hanging in there with just his tiny 200 left in the bank, and you're sitting there with 2,000.
You have all the brown and the yellow cards, the useless ones, and I'm sitting with all the creme de la creme.
You've got Mayfair and Park Lane now.
Mayfair and Park Lane. Oh yes, we're smoking the hopium, but yes.
But you mentioned transfers. Obviously, it's transfer deadline day tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait.
I can't. I mean, there won't be any. There's nothing happening at Liverpool, so you know.
It's still a good watch, despite.
It's not though. It's not. It's so depressing, a Liverpool fan, for deadline day. I still remember the summer where we on deadline day we got Oxlade-Chamberlain, and there was someone else we also signed on the day.
Was that the way you signed him for 40 mil?
Oh, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was
and
crazy.
I was like, oh my word, Liverpool are involved in deadline day, and they're actually taking somebody off one of our rivals. Oh, it's the best day ever and whatnot. And now it's just like, Liverpool not going to sign anyone. Like, they get their business done early, but I still maintain that
they get their lack of business done early,
I still
and
maintain
then
just getting one in our situation is ridiculous. But it is what it is. Hopefully that means we've got a big plan in the summer. There has to be, because I don't believe the Klopp would still be here or be talking as positive about his future if, or negative I should say, because he actually did say that he could get sacked. But
yeah, because
he's just being honest, I suppose.
Because he was saying that he's willing to stay for another 10 years, and I'm like, well, fair play.
There's got to be a plan. But anyway, we talk about transfer deadline day. Newcastle, as we did mention earlier, have just brought in Anthony Gordon.
What do you make of the transfer fee?
Astronomical, 45 million for him, for me. They are bringing him off a Premier League rival, if you like.
Am I the only person, when Chelsea were wanting to buy him, was I the only person that was screaming no?
I think everyone was screaming no.
I was going, if we sign him and we've used a chunk of money that could be used for other guys, I will be raging.
The thing is, though, it's English tax, isn't it? I mean, any English player, they go for a premium.
What's he done, though? Like, what's he done?
Well, he's looked good in Everton's top, hasn't he? I suppose.
It's not as if he was Rooney when he was 16, 17. It's not as if he was Rooney when he was at Everton.
Did you see Everton's cold Twitter note post about Anthony Gordon leaving? They put out the worst picture of him. They didn't thank him. They didn't wish him all the best. It was just like Anthony Gordon left.
I mean, what isn't he? He's been there since he was 11. It's not as if he was there from when he was like 6 or 7, you know. But
it's very. Everton are a very. They like to be a class club, and this for me was a very, very salty ending to this sort of relationship they had between the player and the club and whatnot. And when I first saw it, I was like, no way have Everton done that. No way. But they have. He's saying that they've got a lot of money for him, and they have. They haven't got the time to bring in anyone really of that same quality unless they find an absolute gem. But Everton have not been very. I mean, we think Liverpool have been bad in the transfer market. Everton, I can't remember last time Everton got apart from maybe Damari Gray, got a proper transfer correct in terms of in the attacking department. But they need to bring somebody in. and whatnot. So maybe that's why there's a little bit of animosity. Maybe they probably said, "Can you just stay at the end of the season, help us, and then we'll sell you again in the summer?" And he's probably gone, "No, Newcastle want me now. I don't know if they're going to want me in the summer. I need to go now." And then obviously that relationship broke down from then and whatnot.
But also, selling your young promising player for that money, whilst you still don't have a manager in.
Well, Sean Dyche is probably going to be announced today.
But Sean Dyche, right, the master of the 4-4-2 formation, right? Sean Dyche, who I don't think has won 100 games for Burnley as a manager.
But it's Burnley.
Which is Burnley, to be fair. I think he's won like 78 games or something.
They worked on literally one of the lowest transfer budgets, and he was still getting them to above mid-table a couple of times. You know, getting him away from relegation zone even before the last couple of games of the season at times.
But despite Everton being in a relegation battle right now, is that how they see themselves? Do they see themselves as a level of a Burnley?
But the thing is, though, the Burnley never had the funds, or were never going to get the funds to go better than that.
But
they were going to have to just keep trying to stay up every season, keep it going.
But do they trust?
Everton technically should have the money to back him in the summer if he can keep them up.
But is Sean Dyche a manager that you would give the money to?
Well, we don't know yet because he's never really been in that situation. We don't know yet. I rate Sean Dyche. I think he's a good manager. I think for Everton they have to bring in somebody that can get him out of it, which he's proven he can do before. And then we don't know what he can do. Maybe he can. Maybe he'll surprise us all in the summer and he can push them up the table. Who knows?
I mean, you never know. And I'm not comparing both these managers. I'm just comparing the situations. It could be another Eddie Howe situation where, you know, a guy that's done well at first at a club and then done bad, but then now he's on the rise again because he really was a great manager all this time.
Well, there's a difference between that because
yes, Newcastle
Eddie Howe's got a blank check.
Yes, but like Sean Dyche is a good manager. He was just unfortunate with his situation, and obviously Burnley aren't world beaters. You know, they're very, with all due respect, they're Burnley.
But you've got to respect what he did with them.
Yes, well, of course. You know, he was a great coach.
He did get them into Europe actually as well.
He did that one time. Yeah.
Got beat off Aberdeen. We will talk about later.
Oh. Oh dear.
We'll talk about that later on.
People, if you want a good giggle, you will stay till that part of the segment. We're not going to say when because then you'll just.
Anyway.
Yes, you know it's true.
Let's not spoil it. Let's just keep going. Big transfer news in the last hour or so as well. João Cancelo. Me and you always spoke about this away from the microphone because we are just both so puzzled as to what Manchester City are doing.
Flabbergasted was my word.
João Cancelo, their starting left back. I know they've got the lad from Anderlecht they signed in the summer. Sergio Gomez is his name or something.
Yes.
But they're going to let João Cancelo go on loan to Bayern for the rest of this season and then give them the option to buy him for 61 million in the summer.
They don't need 61 million.
They
don't need 61 million.
I'm sorry, right? City fans, you watch your team a lot more than we both watch your team, so maybe you can tell us something different. Maybe this is what Liverpool should have done a couple of years ago with some players, and City have gone, he's kind of getting towards the end of his, what he can do for us. Maybe we need to get him gone. Even though it may look like a shock at first, maybe we have to do this. I don't know. But for me, this took me so by surprise. And unless City have got some replacement lined up, Theo Hernandez Miller?
No. No, I refuse.
It's just bonkers. I mean, Miller, what are your thoughts? I mean, goodness me.
Well, first of all, and we discussed this off of camera, there was no rumours whatsoever about this. It just came out of the blue. I was walking to the lab, as they would say. I was walking here, and my Sky Sports app decided to give me a wee notification just to let me know it's still breathing, and it then says that Cancelo is joining Bayern on a season-long loan with an option to buy for 61.5 or whatever figure it is, and I was like, well, I had to read it twice because I was like, first of all, why? Second of all, why do they need 61 mil? Why is it a loan? I was so flabbergasted to the point I was questioning about 5 different theories as to why it was happening. I still don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand. City fans, do you understand? Does the City fans even know this was happening? What's going on?
We've both not had enough. I mean, everyone does not understand this. Like, nobody understands this at all.
Maybe by the time this pod comes out, they'll understand. But why? I don't understand. He's a starter for City. He starts for City. He's literally starts every game without fail because he is a monster in any position he plays. Left back, right mid. He wears number 7 shirt for a left back. What in the absolute fudge is going on? Can't swear, people, but I will say words that kind of sound like it. What in the fudge? Because Cancelo, I would take him. If Chelsea went loaned Chelsea 60 mil, I would bite their hands and I would scream stranger in paradise. But clearly something has happened here. And what is happening? What is the news? What is this Sky Sports app saying?
It's just the same, really. I mean, obviously, it's David Ornstein from The Athletic.
He loves it.
He's always on top of transfers and whatnot.
He's having a good time with us at the minute.
He's not played a lot this season. They're saying, which is true. To be fair, they've been playing that Rico Lewis. To be fair, so again.
Are they putting all their trust in a teen?
Sometimes a player just needs a change. Sometimes they just do enough for a club and they have to be moved on. And I was thinking about this when you were talking about Chelsea, actually. I wanted to bring back Liverpool just for a quick second. Is that because Liverpool have never been in the position where we were top of the tree in terms of finally won the Premier League, getting Champions League finals. We didn't know how to act. City have been there and done that for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So they know what it's like. They know how to do it. And maybe they're showing their experience again when they're going, this is time to move it on. And to be fair, Rico Lewis has looked good. And maybe Pep... Because City play with the ball so much, it does allow for young players to develop into a position because they're not usually under pressure that often because they make it their sole mission to always have the ball and whatnot. Of course, that might mean sometimes it's a bit of a dull to watch, but that's it. Pep's not about the entertainment business. He's about winning, which is fair enough to him. And they do play good football. I'm not arguing that at all. So maybe that's what's happened here. You can't go against Pep Guardiola. He knows what he is doing. It's just a big shock to me. But, he hasn't been the same player. He hasn't played them as much this season, I suppose. But, Bayern Munich are getting a steal here, surely. But it is what it is. We'll have to keep on top of it, I suppose. And yeah, we'll see where it goes.
It is just a mental story. It just came out of nowhere. It wasn't as if it was something that was building up the last few days. It just came out of absolute nowhere. And a good signing for Bayern, as much as I despise those German fudgers.
Well, in other transfer news, so Benfica wants 120 mil for Enzo Fernandez. We've already spoken about him.
We've offered 105.
Pocket change to Chelsea, that.
We are penny pinching, but also...
And Moises Caicedo.
Oh, what's happening with him now?
He's £70 million bid from Arsenal. Rejected.
He is apparently worth 90 by Brighton. I don't even think he's earning 30k a week at Brighton. I think he's not even earning 20k a week at Brighton. Now, listen, people. Caicedo is very good. If Chelsea were to get Caicedo, I would be happy. But under no circumstance would I pay 90 million for Caicedo. I wouldn't even pay 70. Arsenal throwing 70 at Caicedo was very surprising. Considering they've already brought in some players similar to that position, but them throwing 70 mil at Caicedo surprised me. If I was Chelsea, I would not bid 70, let alone 90 for him. But Chelsea will do whatever they want. They'll throw whatever money they want. Enzo should be the priority. I don't know what's going to happen with Caicedo, but
Well,
he's not
watching
worth it.
Brighton yesterday, as good as they still were, you could see they were missing him. He makes a big difference to that team. But 70 mil, I think that's a reasonable offer. But, you know, these clubs know that Arsenal have got a lot of money and they're going to try and get as much as they can. And because so, I suppose. But
because Brighton are all sitting there going, they had the money from Mudryk, so they're going to have the money for Casado. That's why they're doing it. They're literally going, right, we know Arsenal have got money because they tried to sign Mudryk, so they're going to raise the price to put pressure on them, which fair play. Brighton are a very well-run team, as we've discussed already in this programme, but goddamn.
Well,
please no.
Just going back to João Cancelo just for a quick second, right? Now, obviously, you know, when it's your club, you're always focused on your club, and you can sort of, even though they're big teams like City and that, and I do watch them quite often because they're always on bloody telly, you do sort of get your mind sort of, you kind of forget who's been starting, who hasn't, because you get so accustomed to them just winning, so you don't care about the lineup and whatnot. And I guess this is a position because the City man I'm talking to is happy about this.
What?
Because he says that the Cancelo's cost him many games this season. He did actually cost him against us at Anfield because Salah turned him far too easily and obviously won 1-0. And that's still a bit of a City fans to a certain degree. So he's actually happy because he's fallen out with Pep Guardiola. So I think it's a case of the manager's won and he wants them gone. And that's what's happened here. If that's the case, then fair enough then, I suppose.
It also is 60 mil that you can put towards another player who's younger, and not saying you need to get him in the same position as what Cancelo was playing. You can go get, I mean, that 60 mil they're getting for Cancelo, that pays for Haaland. Some of Haaland anyway. His official transfer fee it pays for, not his agent fees and all that, bonuses and all that jazz. Because that man's going to get a lot of bonuses, we know that. But 60 mil, yeah. You know, it's a good deal for both sides, I feel.
Yeah.
So it's a very decent compromise, because Bayern are getting a well-established player, very good player, a player that I don't know if they necessarily need, but he's quality, and City are getting some solid cash back. Not that they need it, but it'll balance out their books also. It'll help out with financial fair play also, because it will show them some more money's coming in as well. So
see though, when you see City getting rid of Cancelo now,
it scares me.
You just get so confused as to why they gave Arsenal Zinchenko now. Like, oh my word!
I think they're just so arrogant.
I think that's a decision the City definitely regret.
I think they're just so arrogant to the point where they go, we can let anyone go. We'll just bring someone else in. It doesn't matter. We'll just bring someone else in. It's arrogance, but also it's confidence, because they can just go, well, we can sell 2 left backs or whatever and still bring in and still be okay, because we have the funds, we have the resources, we also have the youth academy, so they've got a really good youth academy. Mm-hmm. They have all the resources possible to replace that person very easily, or persons, and they've shown that. Lewis is a good player. He played against Chelsea, the same game where Chukwuemeka also played against City, and I thought both players were accommodated the game very well. They both outshined the senior players of both respective teams, I would have said, and gave them run for the buck. And yeah, it's looking good. Thumbs up to City. If he has fallen out with Pep, then fair play. They've got good money for him. They've somehow managed to keep that out of the media, because usually the media play with that and the clubs play with the player and all that. But no, they've done decent.
Okay.
Still shocker.
So I'm gonna do something here, right?
Oh dear.
So I have got up here. So we're a very Premier League based podcast. We do talk about other leagues, and we are going to. There's some big stories we have not mentioned yet.
Oh, apparently.
We are going to talk about. But we are Premier League based. We're both Liverpool and Chelsea fans, of course. So Premier League does dominate our minds, and it's going to dominate this podcast.
Of course.
So I've got up right now on my monitor the Premier League dealings so far in this transfer window. I'll make it a bit bigger because we are both old and blind.
My contact lenses is not as good as they used to be. I think I'm going to get new ones.
So I'm just going to scroll through. So I'm just going to scroll through for Miller, but I'm going to just mention a couple of names that jump out at me, I suppose. So for Bournemouth, Darren Randolph off West Ham, decent little goalkeeper. Arsenal, Leandro Trossard, brilliant signing.
Yes.
35 mil for him. You bit their hand off, but obviously that was a situation which I think Brighton just knew was never going to resolve itself, and they had to get him gone.
But they're still justifying 90 for Casado. I don't know where they're getting these figures from, but well, yes, very good deal.
Anyway, Jacob Coulier as well, of Spezia Calcio. Don't know a lot about him, but looks like he could be a good promising player. Aston Villa have not really brought in anybody. They did let Danny Ings go to West Ham.
The only player I know there is Moreno.
Alex Moreno of Real Betis.
But he plays for Betis, not as if but you still know him. He's still good. He's a decent player.
Brentford have done some more loan recalls. They've not really signed anyone. They've signed Byron Wilson.
Well, that's horrendous.
And whatnot. And I don't see anyone jumping out at me for outs either. Brighton we've already mentioned. Chelsea obviously we've mentioned a lot. I mean, look at that. You have signed 7 players this window.
Do you want see, despite all the players that were signed there,
7 players. Yeah, sorry guys. I was about to get a phone call. I'm not going to answer. We're going to finish the pod. But some exciting news that might be happening. So,
oh yes, people, stay tuned.
Anyway, back to the football.
You
have signed 7 players. You've got Fofana, Badiashile, Santos, Felix, who people keep forgetting, that was a mad loan deal.
Oh yes.
And whatnot. Mudryk we've mentioned, Madueke, and Gusto.
See, out of all those signings, the one I'm most excited for is someone who's not even played yet, and that is Santos, people.
Yes.
That boy looks like he only costs 12 mil. He looks like he could be worth more than what that fucking figure.
Let's move on. Crystal Palace haven't signed anybody, which I think will be a very frustrating period for them.
Jack goddamn Butland.
To Manchester United.
Dear
what
God.
a move for him, eh?
Yeah.
Everton, loan recalls again. They've not brought anyone in yet, although I suspect that's about to change.
It has to.
Obviously, they were meant to get Danjuma of Spurs, but they snaked them, which I thought was fantastic.
Did he not say that he was excited to rescue them from relegation? That is horrifying.
Yes. Fulham have recalled Anthony Knockaert, so they've not been saying, but Fulham are doing really, really well, by the way. Really, really well. Marco Silva, he had a tough time at Everton. He came back to the country, took the Fulham job, and he's took them by storm. And Fulham are a brilliant team now. Brilliant team.
They beat us, and
so fair play to them. Leeds United obviously brought in Max Wilber off Salzburg.
Very good player.
And Rutter of Hoffenheim.
Another good player. He also
got a good result in the FA Cup, beating Accrington Stanley away from home, 3-1.
Who are they?
It'll never get old, that. Leicester City have brought in... they had a very, very quiet summer window. And
did they sign Tete?
They've got Tete on.
I did not know they signed Tete. That's a very low-key signing. I did not know that happened.
And Victor Christensen of Copenhagen.
Can't say I'm familiar with them, but I am familiar with Tete.
Obviously, my boys, Liverpool. Cody Gakpo, good little signing. And then just loan recalls and whatnot.
Oh.
Billy Cometto is a centre-back. Reece Williams, again, a centre-back and whatnot. So, but I suspect they've been recalled from their loans to be sent out to other clubs, so we'll see. Manchester City have been very quiet. Obviously, they brought in they've signed that young player from Vélez Sarsfield called Maximo Perrone. He's a career mode favourite of mine. Indeed. Leon Delap on loan to Preston as well. He could be a good young player. And then here is Man United. Now this. Tell you what, right? See Weghorst. Everyone's giving them so much crap, right? But you know what? That's what they had to do because they were never going to get in their number one striker in January. They had to wait till the summer. And he will do a job for them. And then in the summer, they'll have a load of money and they'll probably be phenomenal next season. Whatnot. Let's hope not. Definitely on the rise. Let's hope not. Newcastle, we've mentioned a little bit. Anthony Gordon, obviously, recalled Dubravka from United. They've got Amadou Diallo as well. Chris Wood on loan to Nottingham Forest. Interesting one, that. No, the Dubravka one was very interesting because he's not injured.
or anything.
But he just.
Is it maybe personal reasons? Do you think?
I think United were just like, what have we got him for? Yeah, that shocking game in the League Cup, which they did win, but it was like a miracle he kept a clean sheet, I think. So
Now this one, Nottingham Forest, Danilo, he's one that I think is going to be a very. If Nottingham Forest stay up, I think that will be a very exciting.
Well, they signed 22, 21 players in the summer. They've added another cup 2 in this window, so or 3 or 4, so I should say. So, fair enough.
Danilo's a very good signing, very good Brazilian prospect.
I'm just going to try and rattle through the rest of these quite quickly. Orsic from Zagreb for Southampton.
Ooh.
Obviously very famous for getting the goal against Spurs, in the what do they call it? The not the Europa League,
the Conference League.
That's the one.
See, it's such a tin-pot cup that we didn't actually know what it was called.
So good we signed for
We're lucky if we're going to be playing in that cup next season.
Obviously Spurs signed Danjuma on loan. That's got an obligation to buy as well, I believe. So decent little signing. West Ham have brought in Danny Ings, blah blah blah. Craig Dawson obviously to Wolves as well. From them, Wolves have recorded a lot of players on loan. They've got Matheus Cunha from Atletico.
That was a shock.
I think that's got an obligation to buy as well.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Pablo Sarabia from PSG as well.
Yeah. See, that is interesting because that's only $5 million they're paying for him.
Mm-hmm.
That was just PSG trying to get players off their wage bill, and they just decided let's just get him.
That's all the Premier League transfers that have been confirmed right now.
There's still plenty more to be done.
So when you look at that list, that's what frustrates about Liverpool.
So many loan recalls.
But so little business. It's so little business. It's frightening. So but it is what it is. But anyway, my main question I want to say is, who do you think has done the best business so far in terms of improving the squad and whatnot? Who would you say?
See, you'd think I'd say us, but no.
Who would you say?
I would still go with Arsenal, surprisingly.
Arsenal?
Because they had a setback with Mudryk and they reacted, and they brought in Trossard, who was unsettled at Brighton, but he's a solid player. The other guy I don't know too much about, but I've been told things by Arsenal people that he's apparently good, but that could just be people who watch 15-minute compilations on YouTube. But I think Arsenal have been because they know they've got a league to fight for.
Yeah.
And they've went, we've missed out on Mudryk, we're not going to let it phase us. Getting in Trossard. And they could also get in Casado by the end of the window. Who knows? If they decide to bite the bullet, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and pay the 90 mil, which I wouldn't do. But they're different to me. But we shall see. I can't really think of any other team that have.
I think Wolves have strengthened in key areas as well. I think Wolves have had a decent one.
I think until we see consistent results, maybe. I think if in a couple of weeks we start to see results, I'd probably say Wolves. But Arsenal are flying at the minute.
I didn't say that, but they've done some decent business. But yeah, I think Arsenal probably. I think I would still go with Chelsea. In terms of they've signed players for now. I think Mudryk is a brilliant one. João Felix is a brilliant one.
Badia Shield,
but I think Chelsea's obviously are more for the next season.
Yes,
so you could argue with that, I suppose.
That is why I never said them.
But I think Arsenal are hard to argue with. So that is.
Chelsea have decided to follow in my footsteps and say, let's just build from next season. Let's just forget, not obviously forget about the season because that's just stupid, but think about the next season because that is when we can't go in we can't go in with the same mentality as they did this season. We need to go in prepared, people. Prepared.
And just as we reach the hour mark, breaking news: Sean Dyche confirmed as the Everton manager for a 2.5-year deal.
Oh dear! Now, people, this is very significant because the last pod last week we were announcing live in the air.
I know, right?
That not live, but on the air. That Lampard was sacked, and we didn't know what was happening until then. But we knew it was coming, we didn't know what happened. And now, the ginger magician himself, Sean Dyche, the master of the 4-4-2, is now back in the Premier League at the Evertonians. Can he save him from relegation? Who knows? But if there's anyone that does know how to do it, it is the Dutchman.
Nice one. Well, we're going to move on. We've got a couple more topics we want to quickly discuss. I've made a lovely wee Word document. I've only got 5 points on it, but you know what? The effort was there, sort of.
He has typed it out neatly. There is no spelling errors. The computer is just fudging itself out because it doesn't understand what Liga means.
So anyway, a big story here in Scotland.
Oh dear.
Darvel beating Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup last week.
Everyone.
So obviously we're going to have to give some people some context. I'm sure you all know because everyone's been talking about it. Obviously Darvel were in the 6th tier, if you like, of Scottish football.
Largs Thistle beat them recently.
In November. Yeah, our local team, Largs Thistle, beat them 2-1 in November in the league.
Our friends, people who we went to school with, beat Darvel.
And then Darvel team then went and beat Premiership top boys Aberdeen 1-0. Although Aberdeen did get robbed with an equaliser, which was onside, but anyway. And then, unfortunately, the Aberdeen manager, they go and lose 6-0 to Hibs, and now he's lost his job. So the theme this weekend has been, things could be worse. You could be the Aberdeen manager.
If losing to Darvel wasn't bad enough, and I didn't know who Darvel was until they beat Aberdeen, but if losing
They're
to Darvel,
based team.
So your Kilmarnock connections, you should know who they are.
I didn't have a clue who they were.
Oh, well, that's how bad they are. No, because if losing to Darvel is bad enough, you lose 6-0 to the Highbees, that's when it starts to get concerning, because nobody likes the Highbees. No one likes them.
It does. Speaking of Kilmarnock...
Despise them.
Kilmarnock, obviously, they lost 3-0 as well in the Scottish Premiership. They lost to Ross County 3-0. So Ross County overtook Kilmarnock, who are now bottom of the Scottish Premiership. So
are they?
What? You don't want me supporting your club at the moment because all I do is just bring negative energy and your team just goes to turns to pot. So yeah, not good for.
It's just all the teams that have blue in their kits are all just performing terribly. Is that what I'm seeing?
Depends the Chelsea come out blue, yes. But anyway.
Yes.
And that's a wee thing I just wanted to mention, of course.
The only team in blue that is not being doom and gloom.
I like that little.
Very good segue.
I like this little linky segue you've done with this. Go on.
Everyone, Napoli, and I'm going to read it as what it says here. Running away with the Serie A.
They are 13 points clear after beating Roma 2-1 yesterday.
Now, there are two things. The goal from Osimhen, phenomenal. Also, did you see one of my best friends, my idol, my hero, Jose Mourinho? Did you see that he made the Roma players take a team picture after the game, after they lost?
No, I did not hear about this.
Right, I'm going to get this up, but I'll explain it while I'm searching for it. So, he, as punishment to these players, because Mourinho is celebrating his birthday, whatever the hell he's celebrating, he said to get a team picture, and the players' reactions were spot on.
Oh wow! I mean, fair enough.
He got the staff and his full squad to take a picture as if they won something, when in reality they get beat. And they're all looking doom and gloom. You'll all find it.
He will use that to go, right, you don't want to do that ever again when you've lost.
Yes. And yes, people, we've all experienced this season. There is no shame this season to lose to Napoli. There is no shame whatsoever. We discussed they could be dark horses of the Champions League.
We did last week.
It looks like they're going to win the Serie A, as much as I don't want that to happen. It looks like they're going to win the Serie A. And yeah, they are running, they are sprinting, they are bolting it through the Italian league. And it doesn't look like any team, let alone in the Serie A or in Europe, can stop them. I hope somebody will stop them, because goddamn. I mean, I don't have any animosity to Napoli. I have respect for them.
He's just got a full allegiance to AC Milan.
I just don't want it to happen. And also, Osimhen, I think you would look very nice in a different shade of blue.
No, you don't get another player. No more players allowed. You've had your lot.
I think we can spend another 100+ mil on somebody else. I think offer him an 8-year contract and pay it all in installments. I think we could do it. Come on, Todd Bowley.
Get lost.
Todd Bowley, I know you like to listen.
You're not allowed any more players.
I know you like to listen to fans online. I'm
No.
following you on Twitter, Todd. I will tag you in this podcast. And I will go, bring him home.
No. What do you mean home? He doesn't live in London.
Wherever it is. No, he will be living in London if I have anything to say about it. Come on, Todd. I know you have the money, Todd. Come on.
No.
Let's break the bank yet again. Let's put our spending up to 700 mil. Come on, Todd. Cheeky minx you.
I no longer feel bad giving you the Liverpool mug for your coffee again. I no longer feel bad.
I will drink coffee if it was coming out of a
What if I buy a Spurs cup? Would that be crossing? Would that be too far? Would you drink out of a Spurs cup?
I would just go to Costa for my coffee. I walk past Costa on my way here, so I will just go to Costa for my coffee if that's the case, because people, the Spurs logo on the mug is the only cup they're ever going to be associated with.
Okay, we're not going to start upsetting Tottenham fans.
Just truth coming out of my mouth. Okay. I only speak truth. Osman, you know what blue you should be in. Come on, son.
Aye.
The evil part of this podcast.
Aye. And finally, this has kind of gone under the radar until yesterday since they played PSG. But apparently the Ream manager, who I need to get his name up because unfortunately I've not included it in my notes because I am very unprepared.
I never knew this. That's usually the things that I find out.
Apparently, the 30-year-old Ream manager, who is managing them in the League One at the moment, the club get fined around 20 to 25,000 euros, whatever it is, every time they play a match because the manager does not have a full UEFA Pro license, and they drew to PSG last night. Oh my word. What are your thoughts on that?
When you told me about this, I was like, how even? But then when you said they got a result against the first champions, I instantly went, well, fine well received, fine well spent. And maybe that is how they're looking at things. Maybe they're just like, well, he's given us results, let's just take the fines as they come.
His name is Will Still, by the way.
Well, does he have the will? Or is he going to remain still and accept these things? Why is he not? Is he so still that he can't move to go get his license? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so he's still working on it.
Does he not have the will to get it done and save his club money?
No, it's because obviously he's still developing, and the club have gone, do you know what? I think we're good. You think you're good enough now, so we're gonna help your development as long as you keep us winning. And well, he clearly is.
I mean, if you're a club like that who aren't one of your top teams in France,
he became their number 2 in the sort of coaching staff last year, and he's now the head coach, and he is unbeaten in 12 games in a row now.
Now that is money well spent. So it's 25 grand times 12. That's nearly 300 grand, close to 300 grand for unbeaten in 12 games. Bargain, people. Bargain.
Indeed.
I would say so.
There's one more topic I want to talk about, because actually this was requested in my mate's Discords.
We've got a request?
We do.
I thought everyone was in.
I'll be honest with you, right? Because I support a club, we both support clubs at the top end of the spectrum.
You'd think.
You don't give this a lot of thought, but the Wrexham situation, right?
Oh, yes.
So they've been bought by Ryan Reynolds, right? Brilliant for them, right? They're still in non-league. They're spending a lot of money. A lot of clubs cannot compete with them, obviously. So obviously they basically guarantee themselves back into the Football League.
You'd think.
Is that right to be able to do that, right? Because I don't mind it when it's a Championship or even a Premier League club that get bought out and they're trying to compete like Liverpool, Chelsea and all that. You know, that's the only way you can compete with that. But when it comes to non-league and everyone is sort of in a similar boat, there's a couple of clubs that you always will have a bit more than the others, but it's relatively sort of, settled, if you like. And then you have a powerhouse who just come in and they just go, yep, we're just going to start buying the best players, we're just going to get ourselves up the leagues and whatnot. Do you think that should be allowed to happen?
I mean, it'd be very hypocritical for me to say, but I think I've watched the first, I think, 5 or 6 episodes of the first season of the documentary series on Disney Plus. I'm very humbled while watching it because you see what it's doing for the community, you see what it's doing for the people that have suffered with their team being in the lower leagues for, I think it's 12, 13, maybe longer than that years. And the buzz around that small town in Wales is just crazy. You're seeing folk run about with Deadpool morph suits on. I think it's great. They got an experienced manager who managed teams like Bolton and Bradford City and etc. I don't actually know who he is. He's not one of the marquee managers, so I don't know who he is. He was big in his day for his level. But big fan of Ryan Reynolds. Love Ryan Reynolds. Funny man.
I'm going to give a shout out to another one, mates. Howie Mason, Matty Mason. If you don't follow him on Twitter, follow him on Twitter. He's so funny.
Top lad,
He's a Hartlepool fan, and I think we're going to retweet this. He made up a fake Hartlepool transfer story about a fake player, and they all gobbled it up.
What? How?
Honestly,
when? Where?
This morning, it was absolutely sensational. I'm not even going to read it out. You're just all going to have to go and find it.
Did they make up a random...
He just made up a player name. And then they all
can
it up.
I know we're not going to say it on the programme, but can I see what name... What?
You can have a look at it. I'm sure.
How creative is it?
He's a funny man.
So he convinced a full entire fan base that they were signing a wonder kid of such...
Yes. They were going to make a sign. I'll find the tweet.
Did he make up a random fee?
I'll show you. So the tweet says, right.
I'm
sorry, I can't stop laughing.
Wait a second here, I seen this.
So this is not real. This player.
I thought this was real.
This player, Luke Smith, does not exist.
I thought. Wait. I seen this as well.
16,000 people have seen this tweet, by the way.
How many followers does this boy have?
He's got...
Is he in the realm of us, or is he higher than us?
Oh, he's higher than us. He's got 40.
Oh, he's way higher than us. Oh.
Feel sorry. You're just going to have to go and see the tweet.
My follow ratio is still better than yours, but you know...
But anyway, right, I just wanted to mention that. But I do have a relevance to why I've mentioned his name and whatnot. He has put, and this is correct, right? I've just lost the comment here. Here we go. Wrexham have a higher budget than any League 2 team, ruining non-league. And I won't mention the next bit because we are a family-friendly podcast.
That doesn't say fudge.
And whatnot. But that is true. Should a non-league club have so much money that they've got more money than teams in the Football League be able to do what they're doing? I don't know. Guys, get your thoughts on this topic. For us, I feel like I'm very hypocritical because I'm complaining about how Liverpool aren't spending money.
Yes.
So I feel a little bit hypocritical in that regard. But I see both sides to it completely. I feel like it's unfair for the other teams around Wrexham in the same league who are suffering just as much as them, but because they haven't got a Hollywood star come out and bought them out, and they've got a Disney series out and whatnot, it's just it doesn't feel like it's been done through football merit, which I guess is why so many fans are so grieved by how they're being run and whatnot. But let us know your thoughts on the Wrexham situation in the comments down below if you would like.
Do you think Wrexham are becoming the non-league Chelsea?
Probably. Which means I probably hate Wrexham above 6.
I fully support them then. I will be buying their shirt. I will not be buying their shirt because as much as I do like a little aviation gin by Ryan Reynolds, lovely man, I will not be buying a shirt that has TikTok on it. By
the way, just to plug him, his Twitter, Matty Mason's Twitter is @MattyCraigMason. So do go and give him a wee follow. I know he does. He's a big supporter of the pod, and he's a top lad.
Well, he somehow reached me because I can confirm I did also fall for this. And even though I didn't care about the transfer, I did see it and I was
In
like...
all fairness, though, because I know Massey, I just knew, I could smell it. I was like, hang on a minute. Like, this can't be real.
So, did he trick his own fan base?
Oh, yeah.
Now, that is great because, you know, he's clearly went, right, these mother fudgers are going to fall for this. Let's get a few retweets and likes. Let's build up the following. Should he be our marketing rep?
We should, maybe we'll have to organise that. Maybe it'll obviously be a free role because even we don't get paid for this. We do this out of the goodness of our hearts.
Yes, I'm going to my job after this
Yeah.
to serve pints to the unfortunate and...
You did?
Yes, which I'm also one of the unfortunate, but I can't serve myself pints.
I've got bones to pick with you about that, by the way.
My pints are good.
No. You know that cause that I had the dregs of at the end?
That wasn't me that poured you that, though. So
That was the worst pint I've ever had in my life, and I was actually almost throwing up after it.
But I can confirm it was not me that poured that pint because I gave you the bottles of Budweiser.
Oh, well,
So I
the
cannot...
Budweisers were perfect.
Oh, well, yeah. All I had to do was just open it with a bottle opener and that was it. I didn't have to do any... It didn't take any gravitas or any, Salt Bay signals. But, yes, I can confirm it was not me, people. My credibility still stands. And, yes, it just shows how good I am.
I'm opening bottles, absolutely.
Yes, because I didn't bottle it, unlike some teams
And,
at the weekend.
and with that, I think we've had enough. I'm going to get this man out of my house.
Luckily, Chelsea weren't playing because I'd probably be in the same mood as you. But,
Well, you got knocked out by City. That's not a... I mean...
Thank God. I didn't want to go
Not
for
even
some more.
mention City Arsenal, but, it was expected result. City won 1-0. Good finish on Mackay. There you go. City are through to the next round. Probably going to win the FA Cup. Happy days for them. I don't care enough anymore. Arsenal fans probably don't care either, so we don't need to mention anymore about that.
They're going to win the league.
Well, probably will. But anyway, that is it from us here on the Good versus Evil podcast.
Yeah.
I do hope you have enjoyed. I do apologise once again if we did not speak about your team today. As we mentioned last week, we're both Liverpool and Chelsea fans. They are two teams that will dominate most of the topics at the start of this pod, but we always try to talk about most of the Premier League clubs and then mention any big stories that have happened.
At least they're dominating something.
Indeed. So, but do let us know if you've got any thoughts, any way you think maybe we can improve. If there's a certain team you think we actually should be talking about a bit more, give us an actual reason. Don't just say nice because I'm a Liverpool fan. It's going to annoy me. Please don't do that.
Which means in code, please do it.
You're just being horrible. I feel like I'm very hospital. I don't know. I can't speak anymore. I'm very hospital.
Hospital.
No, I can't speak.
Is it? Wait a second. Is it?
My hospitality to you is, I think, first class.
I would say.
So
Apart from the Liverpool mug, it is a tasty coffee that he gave me, people. It was tasty.
And make sure you have a lovely chair to sit in. It's all
It is a
set
very
up.
nice chair. Yes, it's
It's a nice warm room. So do you know what? You can stick that up your pipe and smoke
I do appreciate the warm room because the cost of living has went up and I can't have the heating on at all times. I do live my own. It's tough out here in these streets, people. But also, people, if you wanted to discuss other things like Dana White slap fighting or donut wars, chuck it in the comments, and we because you're lacking in that little topic, people. Come on, all we want's comments. The views aren't enough. We want interaction. Come on, people.
Okay, but I do also want to end this podcast by thanking everyone that did watch the first episode. I think we did get a good 15 or 20 views listening and a couple of likes. So thank you so much for that. Do spread it as well. Give us, let's spread the Good versus Evil family, and let's build this into a proper football community. That would be the dream. But we do appreciate you absolutely. Miller does not mean that. He's just getting a bit heated and his Chelsea hats are well and truly being put back on and it's never coming off again.
If we could spread like the coronavirus, that would be fantastic.
Right.
But no, I'm just joking.
You cannot say that. Right, that's it guys. Thank you so much. Have a boss week, whatever you are doing. Stay cool, stay awesome, and we will see you in the next episode. But until then, take care, guys. Ta-ra.
Ciao.